Malaysia is an independent country which consists of various races, religions, ethnicities, and cultures. There are various racial polarization. In this regard, it is important for Malaysians to accept all beliefs and ideologies based on the first pillar of the country, which is to believe in God. Before independence, there is an ideology that threatens the security of Malaya, which resulted in the declaration of a state of emergency. The ideology is communism. The development of communist influence in our country took place before the outbreak of the Second World War. The communists took various actions to cripple the country's economy and threaten political stability. The goal of the communists was to seize power from the British and replace it with the Communist Republic. However, British managed to capture the hearts and minds of the people to jointly combat the communist threat. The era of emergency has brought various effects to the economic and social politics of our country. Communism is an ideology founded by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. They wrote the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital. Communism is a political ideology that makes the economy and consumer goods the property of the state. Attempts to spread communist ideology in our country began in the 109,020s. At that time, there were two countries involved in the spread of communist ideology, namely China and Indonesia.
Communist action. Although the emergency law enforced in the whole of Malaya, communists remain pursuing activities that threaten peace and stability in the country. To ensure success in his struggle, the communists sparked chaos throughout the country so that the population lost confidence in British. There are four things that communists do. Firstly, communists paralyzed the economy by attacking tin mines and rubber plantations to weaken the British economy. From 1948 to 1956, the communists attacked 80 ore mines including in Perak, Selangor and Negeri Sembilan. They damaged rubber trees, estate factories, smoke houses, warehouses, shops and schools as well as killing workers. These communist actions caused mine and rubber plantations workers to suffer. Second, communists destroyed infrastructure by sabotage against basic facilities, especially the transportation and communication system. They bombed, damaged, and diverted railroad tracks. Vehicles passing through the road were shot and set on fire. They also sabotaged telephone and telegraph facilities and damaged water pipes. These situations affect the daily life of locals because the infrastructure cannot be properly maintained. Third, communists threaten people's security. They threaten, sabotage, attack, commit atrocities, persecute, kidnap, seize, burn property and kill residents who refuse to cooperate. And lastly, communists threaten security forces. The Malayan Communist Party (CPM) targeted security forces and attacked police stations. These actions was done to provoke chaos and show the government's inability to protect the safety of the people. Attempts to deal with the communist threat. Law enforcement. To address the communist threat, several efforts were taken such as emergency law enforcement that is divided by 6. First, detaining anyone suspected of being involved in the communist movement without trial. Second, impose severe punishment on anyone who helped the communists. Third, tighten firearms law by imposing the death penalty on those who carry firearms and explosives. Fourth, search residential houses, fence the village, held a curfew, creating a new village and relocating residents. Fifth, banning the CPM and radical political parties. These include AWAS, PETA, PERAM, PKMM, and Hizbul Muslimin. And lastly, arresting radical movement leaders such as Ahmad Bustaman, Ishaq Haji Muhammad, Abu Bakar al-Bakir, and Khatijah Siddiq.
Next, the National Registration and Identity Card. Under the emergency law, the government introduced a system of national registration and the use of identity cards on 23rd of July 1948 to control the movement of the population. This measure was taken to make it easier for the security forces to distinguish civilians from communists. Under the rules, every man, woman and child aged 12 and above is required to register with the authorities. The public is required to carry an identity card everywhere. BRICS Plan. BRICS Plan was launched by Sir Henry Gurney, the British High Commissioner in Malaya in 1950. Lieutenant General Sir Harold Roddenberry was appointed as Director of Operations. The main purpose of this move was to sever the CPM's relationship with the main wing who supplied food, weapons, information, and medicine to the CPM. The BRICS Plan was an effective measure to weaken the communist movement. People's Month Against Criminals Campaign. On December 22, 1949, the Federal Legislative Council declared the People's Month Against Criminals Campaign. Multiracial residents are urged to register voluntarily with the authorities. These volunteers consist of men and women from various sectors, including professionals. The campaign successfully involved people of various races working together against the communists. The implementation of the campaign can encourage interaction and strengthen interracial relations. Curfew order. A curfew is an act of prohibiting residents from leaving their homes for a certain period of time. Curfews allow security forces to conduct operations more effectively. In addition, curfews were imposed on residents who refused to cooperate with the authorities to combat the communist threat. The War of Nerves was a plan carried out by the British to eliminate the communists through efforts to win the hearts and minds of the people. In 1952, Templar was appointed Commissioner High British in Malaya. He aimed to win the hearts and minds of the People Federation of Malaya. He wanted to establish good relations with the locals so that they cooperate with the government and convey all the information about the communists. The War of Nerves succeeded in persuading the people of various races to unite and fight communist threat. Among the actions the British took were holding visit-easing citizenship appointments, holding Kuala Lumpur Municipal Council elections, offering cash prizes, winning the trust of orang asli, advancing information services, and introducing black and white areas.
Following negotiation to end the communist threat and achieve independence, Tunku Abdul Rahman held a meeting with the leader CPM at English School, Baling, Kedah on December 28, 1955. The meeting involving the government of Malaya with PKM, representative of the Federation of Malaya was Tunku Abdul Rahman, accompanied by Chan Chen Lock and David Marshall, while the CPM was represented by Chen Peng, Chen Ten, Dan, and Rashid Maidin. Tunku Abdul Rahman asked Chen Peng to dissolve the PKM, lay down arms and surrender. Chen Peng, on the other hand, said condition: I will laying down of arms and surrender self will be made if the government agrees recognize the CPN as a political party that will lead. Tunku Abdul Rahman was refused to accept condition. Because of that, the negotiation have with failure. The impact of the emergency on our country. From the political aspect, the emergency period has led to an increase in the number of citizens. The establishment of the Malayan Chinese Association and accelerate independence. From a socio-economic point of view, the state of emergency has caused an increase in the cost of spending, suffering, and misery to the people, strained race relations, and killed many lives. Emergency termination. The emergency has caused many life destruction of property and brings misery to the people, and of emergency throughout many countries enforced from 31st July 1960. Thus, the end of the emergency period that lasted for 12 years in our country.
In conclusion, as an independent country, Malaysia has succeeded because the people are peaceful and harmony is based on the tenets of the nation.